Exploring the latest trends, topics, and things you need to know in travel, it's Can We Talk Travel with DestinationWhatever.com. Well, hey everybody, it's your number one travel lover boy, and I've got two love boys today because we love travel and we share the same name and we love small group trips. We got so much in common today, and we've also been to a destination that we're going to talk about and explore in different ways. I did the south of Morocco, our guest did the north of Morocco. We'll talk about, you're going to want to do all parts of Morocco by the time you're done listening to us. Our guest today, I'm just thrilled to be joined with David from Intrepid Travel. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Hey Dave, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Love being here. Love talking to you and all of your listeners and your customers about small group travel and Intrepid in particular. Yeah, really excited to share everything that we have to offer about Morocco and as well as my personal experiences traveling to Morocco. It's absolutely wonderful country.
It's so, I mean, I feels like forever. I went like 10 years ago to Morocco, but Canadians, I think, year after year are getting more and more into Morocco. Just today, I even saw that Air Transat is launching a new service, Montreal Agadir. There's going to be more lift, more people going to Morocco. Again, we'll get into the ins and the outs of that, but one little piece of trivia about me that you might not even know. My very first small group tour experience was an Intrepid trip, and it was in the Australian Outback. And you could say I'm hooked because I think I'm to like 10 or 11 Intrepids, and I'm always thinking, what's the
Amazing.
next one? Yeah, yeah, totally. And so I did Intrepid in Morocco, and like I said, I did the south side of Morocco, and I went 10 years ago. It was a destination I wasn't thinking about. I was going to do something else. It canceled in the last minute. And what I love about small group trips is that if you're looking for something in the last minute, it can be something easy to latch onto. So I booked it maybe about 4 or 5 weeks. And yeah, I was there in, like I said, it was about 10 years ago in the summer. When did you go to Morocco?
Yeah, so I went in the spring of 2024. So, it was not too hot, and I think you don't necessarily want to go like in the peak of summer because it'll get pretty hot there. But spring and fall are great times to go. And yeah, I went end of April, beginning of May in 2024.
I think that sounds like heaven on a stick. I did go in the summer and I did the south, so it was like hot multiplied by hot, and so it was very hot. And but I think this is a great destination for Canadians to be thinking about, especially snowbirders, people thinking about winter and spring. Do you folks see a lot of Canadians going for Morocco at this time of year?
I mean, honestly, actually, it is a year-round destination for us. Morocco is actually our number one destination for North American travelers. And, with easy connections from Eastern Canada and the Eastern US as well, like Morocco is a good natural fit for a lot of travelers. And yeah, because it's further south, it's a warm climate, it's on the Mediterranean. People are not hesitant at all about going in the winter because it's still decent temperatures there. But yeah, people will travel to Morocco anytime. Some of our tours we offer like almost daily departures of those tours in Morocco.
Wow.
That's how popular it is.
Wow. So a lot of dates that people can choose for. I mean, obviously that's where I come in with it. I love Morocco because I think that on its own, it stands up. You can spend weeks and weeks in Morocco. I was thinking today that you could easily do 3 weeks in Morocco, if not more. And then it combines really well with Spain and Portugal. Sometimes I say Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. Spam. It's the spam
Yeah.
concept. So yeah, you want some spam, people? I'm here giving spam to Canadians coast to coast. But let's get to the M in that spam. So I went to Morocco. I flew over. It was before the nonstop flights had started. So I went through Europe and it was about 3 hours to fly from France to Morocco. How did you get there?
Yeah, just one stop via Portugal. So I was flying, yeah, Air Canada to Lisbon and then a connector on tap into
Perfect.
Casablanca. Yeah.
Perfect. Easy peasy. And yeah, those flights from Montreal, those are, I think it's like a 6.5, 7 hour transatlantic. It's really quick. We've identified already people that Morocco, it's a great destination for weather, especially coming up in the next while, and it's really accessible for Canadians. And of course, Intrepid can help make it possible. It made it possible for me. It made it possible for David. So tonight we're going to, talk about our experiences because we did see Morocco in different ways. But before we get into that, we can talk about common things. What were some of your first, actually, before we get to first impressions, what made you want to go to Morocco in the first place?
Yeah, a couple things. It had always been on my list. I mean, my bucket list, like most people who work in travel, my bucket list is impossibly large, and I don't know if I'll ever get it all fulfilled. But Morocco's been on there for a while. And,
Totally.
joining Intrepid, when I did about 2.5 years ago, I quickly realized how good our Morocco product was, and how popular it was. And I thought, you know what, like this is the time to really, yeah, to jump in, go to
To-
Morocco, experience it for myself firsthand. And yeah, I mean, I had always been drawn to it by a lot of the history and the culture of things. That's my big draw for traveling to a lot of places is knowing the history and the culture and the people and where everything came from, and knowing that Morocco has been historically an influence of, there's indigenous cultures there mixed with European influences, mixed with Arabic influences at different points. It's been ruled by Arabs, by the Moors, by the French, and it's also independent now, and it's their own kind of identity is a blend of all of that. So it's a really interesting, unique culture that I was excited to learn more about.
Absolutely. It's a total crossroads destination. I mean, that's how I kind of learned about it through university, taking French courses. I had some professors who were Moroccan, and then also anthropology courses, learning about the Berber people and the people that go way back in this area. And of course, I got to meet those people on my
Mhm.
Intrepid tour. Well, I think that's a great way to start with one part of tonight's presentation is that, David, I know you've prepared a few slides to tell us a little bit more about Intrepid, but also if you're new to Intrepid, maybe it will be helpful for people to learn about the different styles and the way you guys operate things. So maybe we could take a look at what you've prepared for us.
Here's me. And this picture is taken from the Atlas Mountains in Morocco. I'm going to talk a bit, about Intrepid in general, but this is one of my favorite pictures I use in almost every presentation that I do. Not only is, the logo and the branding front and center, but I think uh, the thing I love about this picture the most is what do you see around me? You see forests, you see green hills and things like that. People never guess that this picture is from Morocco because people's preconceived notions of Morocco, they think of, rocky, mountainous desert, like dry. It doesn't naturally occur to a lot of people that Morocco can be, of many parts of the country, a very beautiful, green, lush area. And so that's kind of my first little teaser about Morocco and why Morocco and then Intrepid in general is all about turning expectations on and preconceived notions on their head. And that's really why we travel, is it not to get, our preconceived notions are what interest us, but then you get to a destination and you find you learn so much more than you ever knew about a destination before. So
Totally.
I'll come back to the beauty and the greenness of Morocco in a bit, but first, I'm going to touch a bit on Intrepid in general, for your audience who may be less familiar with Intrepid. First thing that you need to know about Intrepid before you get into any of the details about styles and themes, etc., um, who we are and why we do what we do. We are a global purpose-led adventure travel company, and we are a proud B Corp. We have been B Corp certified since 2018. And if you don't know what a B Corp is, a B Corp is an independent third-party organization that evaluates companies across all industries, not just travel, about their sustainability, their environmentalism, their responsible business practices and ethics and things like that. And we have to get recertified every 3 years to make sure that we are meeting B Corps very high standards for sustainability and responsible business. So when we talk about our B Corp certification, this means it's not just us deciding for ourselves what a benchmark is for sustainability. We are being held to an independent third party's highest standards, and they're the ones that are making judgments on whether we're meeting those or not. So this is really just about us walking the walk, talking the talk. And as you can see, when we talk about Intrepid and everything that is important to us, uh, we believe in providing sustainable experience-rich travel, and we want our trips at their core to benefit the communities that we are traveling to. It's not just enough for you as a traveler to come out of a trip, feeling enriched for having visited a destination, but it's also important to us that the people that you meet and interact with, they also come out for the better for you having visited them. And that can be found in many different forms. That could be, cultural exchange through homestays or dance lessons or cooking classes or all kinds of unique, authentic cultural interactions. We make sure that, you know what, you are, of course, you're going to see the main sites and main highlights of a destination that draw everybody to a destination. But you're going to learn so much more and you're going to meet so many more people and really get a true sense of that culture. At Intrepid, I like to tell people you're not just visiting Morocco, you're visiting Moroccans. And that, ethos is repeated across everywhere in the world that we travel to. So now going back into here's where I'll talk about the different trip styles that we have and the different ways that you can think of for Intrepid when it comes to putting identifying a trip that makes the most sense for you and understanding what the differences are between the different levels that we offer. So here we've got our four different trip styles. You can think of them like service levels. And I mean, the names already give you an idea. Basics, original, comfort, and premium. Basics is for budget conscious travelers who just want the bare minimum amount of inclusions and are happy staying in low budget hotels or hostels or camping and things like that. Um, Definitely not for everybody, but for a lot of travelers who are on a budget but still want to experience the world. The basics trips give that opportunity to them. The original level trips, this is where we started with. Roughly half of our trips are at the original level. And you can think of original as being, three-star tourist class accommodation, a mixture of private and public transportation. Usually breakfast and a couple other meals are included, as well as, some essential activities are included at that level. But then there's still a mix of free time and optional activities that you can opt into. Then you move up to the comfort level. This is where you're going to have slower paced, more relaxed itineraries. Accommodations are going to be nicer with more amenities, typically 3.5, 4-star most of the way, and more of a balance towards more private transportation, more activities, and more meals included. And then our premium is our highest level of service. Premium is typically 4, 4.5, occasional 5-star hotels. Premium is also going to have the most amount of inclusions, most activities, most meals, but still some free time for you to be able to relax and recharge or do your own thing. Our premium trips are also going to have our most experienced local leaders. They're going to have incidental tipping, luggage porterage, arrival transfers included. And all of our premium level trips also have what we call a feature stay property. A feature stay is a property that is chosen for its unique cultural or historical significance or just plain wow factor. So when we talk about feature stays, think of things like, a wine villa in the village, rolling hills of Tuscany, or it could be, a very nice cave hotel carved into the side of a mountain in Cappadocia, watching, the hot air balloons sail above you. All those kinds of things that you're gonna go. back home and brag to your friends and family about. That's what you get at that premium level. So, like I said, we offer the four different styles to cater to people with a diverse range of interests and budget and tastes. Um, this is a quick summary of what you can expect at that level as well.
Well, that's awesome. I think that helps a lot of people understand Intrepid, travel a lot. Have traveled with Intrepid on the original style a whole bunch of times because it matches what I like. And one thing that's important for me with Intrepid is that I've gone with my pals and I've traveled solo, and it works every single time because if you are a solo traveler with Intrepid, I find you feel very welcome. There are normally other solo travelers on this thing. You can opt for the single supplement or opt to get matched. It just, you have all these options. And so you shouldn't let that hold yourself back because that was for me going to Morocco, part of it. Again, I had other plans that canceled. So when it happened, I didn't have anybody else to go with. So I needed something that I could jump onto and just, feel like I was doing my own thing, but not feel alone, if you get what I'm saying.
Of
So
course, that's why, roughly half of our travelers are solo travelers on our trips. And so if you're a solo traveler, you should have absolutely no hesitation about jumping on board an Intrepid trip. You're likely to meet other solo travelers on your journeys with us. And of course, with so many different destinations to offer and the different trip levels, of course. Dave, you're able to talk to your clients and help them narrow down which is the right level for them. But yeah, no matter what level you book at, we have solo travelers traveling with us all the time, and it's a very welcoming atmosphere for them.
totally, totally. Well, let's talk about some journeys. I understand, of course, you've done a different journey than I did. Not only did you do the north, but you did it in the comfort level. And so perhaps we could take a look at your journey to Morocco.
All right. So this is the trip that I did for my trip to Morocco. It is our 13-day Morocco uncovered trip. And the reason I chose this trip, there's a couple different reasons actually. Uh, Number one, I honestly believe this trip offers fantastic value for money. I think it has the greatest amount of included destinations and activities and gives you as comprehensive a lens on the country as you can get in 2 weeks, basically. And at that comfort level, it is still, nicer accommodations, but not at, the higher price point of premium. And for me, it really just kind of it's where I like to travel at. It's the level I prefer most of the time. And on top of that, Morocco Uncovered is actually our number one selling trip, full stop. So
Wow.
yeah.
No wonder you have those daily departures on the go.
Yeah. This one's it has 330 departures a year, last time I checked. So yeah, almost every single day. And I think it is that popular because of the things I mentioned. It's, very good value for money. It's a very comprehensive trip. And our travelers kind of prove the point by, how popular they make it. So I decided, when I was looking at the trips that I wanted to take, well, you know what? This is number one for a reason. And if I'm going to be, working at an Intrepid, I think I should probably be on our best-selling trip, right? So that was another good reason for me. But here looking at the route that we took, it started in Casablanca and it went all through the north. So the first half of it, you go there through Rabat, Meknes, Volubilis, Chefchaouen, and Fez before crossing the Atlas Mountains and spending the second week in the mountains and on the edge of the Sahara. We have other itineraries that continue on further west or further south from Marrakesh, which Dave did some more of that, which Dave will talk about in more detail. But mine ends in Marrakesh and then flew back from there. It is, you can see here from the map, it is possible as well to book a transfer or just take the train from Marrakesh to Casablanca if you're flights are round trip Casablanca, but there's also lots of flight options out of Marrakesh to do that as well. So now looking at the first section of the trip, starting with Casablanca. So the big site in Casablanca is the Hassan II Mosque. It's one of the largest mosques in the world. And most mosques in any Muslim country, you can't go inside a mosque if you are not a Muslim. There are only a very few mosques where that exception is made, and the Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca is one of them. It's absolutely beautiful, very modern place as well too. It was actually, even though it's got a very classical look, it was built in the 90s, and here's another interesting thing about it. It is the largest mosque in the world with a retractable roof.
Oh,
It's the only
wow.
one I've ever seen or know of that has a retractable roof. But yeah, think about what that means. If you're a baseball fan, if you're in Toronto, you know about the Rogers Center roof opening and closing, depending on the weather. Well, it's the same idea in Casablanca. You can have if you're worshiping in the mosque, depending on the weather, they open the roof to either let sunlight in or let the air in to cool the place down or warm it up, depending on what they need. So, yeah, very unique feature that I would never have expected out of a mosque. Um, but yeah, otherwise, Casablanca, be honest with you, as a tourist destination, it's not a place you need a whole lot of time in. Great place to start in because, the flight connections are great and it's a pretty big, modern Europe, cosmopolitan city with European influences, but not a huge amount there to keep you there for too long. So from Casablanca, we go to Rabat, the capital of Morocco, and there it's a very old city, first settled in ancient Roman times, and it has served a variety of purposes and been different sizes since then. But now it is the modern capital of Morocco. Um, the old city has, very large Medina and some souks, but the big site there is the mausoleum of Mohammed V, as well as some of the royal buildings there. After Rabat, we go on to Meknes. This is a former capital of Morocco. Again, and this one has a huge sprawling Medina, and it's got a lot of interesting, unique mosques to look at, and various older palaces, and a really huge, ornate city walls, part of Meknes as well.
I think I know where this picture was taken.
Yeah, I bet you do. This is the Blue City, as it is called. And I'll be the first to admit I'm not the most Instagram savvy, and I'm sure there are people who are better at social media than me that get, better pictures. But hey, you know what? Just happy. Yep. Hey, pose for a photo in this blue alleyway. Great. So yeah, this is Chefchaouen, obviously the big city. It is a must see, especially for those younger social media savvy travelers that want to get those really iconic blue photos. That are better at it than me will get better photos for sure. But it is just an absolutely stunning, beautiful city. Before you get to Chefchaouen, the stop along the way at the Roman ruins of Volubilis. So Volubilis, it's one of the best preserved Roman sites in Morocco, and it actually represents one of the most extreme extents of the Roman Empire. So, I'm getting my thinking about the Roman Empire quota in for the day here. But if you know much about ancient Roman history here, they did expand into the Iberian Peninsula and North Africa, and Volubilis was the frontier of the Roman Empire in Morocco and Northern Africa at the time. The Roman ruins there are just basically just out in a big field on some plains there, and they are just massive. It's not quite Pompeii level preserved, but still quite a few like bases of buildings and things like that you can wander in and really get a sense of the town. So yeah, from Volubilis, then on to Chefchaouen, and then from there, next stop is Fez, one of the cultural hubs of Morocco, and also a great economic center. when we were in Fez, we visited a pottery workshop and a leather tannery, and learned about the processes of making these goods, which are really, big for the Moroccan economy. The pottery workshop in particular was a highlight for me. It was one of my favorite ones that I visited, because not only are they producing, fantastic goods, but the mission of this workshop in particular, is to provide training and job opportunities for poor, underprivileged youth. So I think that is, we've chosen to, there's multiple, workshops for things, and we chose to partner with one that does good in the local community. And, you see that kind of pattern repeated by Intrepid on our trips, in all the destinations that we visit. And from Fez, we begin the long journey to the edge of the Sahara Desert. So to do that, first we got to cross the Atlas Mountains, and stopping for the night in Medelt, which is roughly halfway, and then on to the Sahara. So this is, this journey from Fez to the Sahara is really where you get a very quick realization and understanding of the different climates and the different landscapes that you see. Because up until now, we're in northern Morocco, and it was very green, kind of like a southern Mediterranean feel.
Hmm.
And like you saw in my first picture there at the beginning. And then as you go further south from there, it becomes drier and drier. Then you hit the Atlas Mountains, which is mainly just rocky hills everywhere with a few little green oases interspersed throughout. Then you get through the Atlas Mountains to the south side, and now you are in a desert climate. So you're seeing these, three different climate zones in the span of 2 days. And now here we are in the Sahara. Sahara is honestly my biggest highlight of the trip, and for many people, it is the biggest highlight. We spend one night camping at a camp on the edge of the Sahara, sleeping under the stars in the desert camp. And you can see here we go for a camel ride at sunset over the dunes of the Sahara. Just absolutely beautiful, you know, wonderful opportunity there. Wonderful experience. Top highlight of the trip for me, honestly. Um, it is worth knowing as well, when we talk about riding camels and animal welfare in general. Intrepid is committed to protecting animals, and we have a robust animal welfare policy to ensure these animals are best observed in the wild and not interacted with. Uh, Animals like camels, they are domesticated. They have been for thousands of years, but we still believe they must be treated with care and respect. Morocco is one of the better countries in the world when it comes to the regulations around camels and how they are cared for. We only ride camels from local operators who meet our strict animal welfare guidelines, which are even higher than Morocco's. But yeah, you can rest assured that if we are, riding a domestic animal like a camel, for example, it is from an operator that we have actually done the homework and made sure that they are treating those animals properly with care and respect. Next up, after the desert camp, you wake up in the morning, and but after a couple hours before it gets too hot, it's time to say goodbye to the desert, and then we move on from there to Magoon Valley. So along the desert edge, mentioned here, there's a collection of prehistoric fossils that you have the opportunity to see at various points along the way. And then next big major site is Todra Gorge, which you can see here. Todra Gorge is a narrow canyon with massively high walls, and you can walk and drive down the middle of this just, huge, impressive canyon. Then from there, you next up is in a very small local town, completely out of the way. This is well off the beaten path. These little villages don't typically receive a lot of travelers other than the ones on our group. But we go there, and one of the activities there is the Amazigh tradition of henna art. And you get your hand painted with a henna tattoo in the home of a local henna artist. Um, Oh yeah, and For those who don't know, the Amazigh is a that is actually the name of the indigenous people of Morocco, people who have always lived there before the country was then ruled by Arabs and then by the French. So the Amazigh are the original traditional people of Morocco. From here, then we visit the iconic old city of Ait Ben Haddou. Uh, the city, it's best known as the film location for Gladiator, Game of Thrones, and many more movies and shows that want a, rustic old school desert town from, maybe medieval fantasy or ancient times or things like that. Then lastly, we go to Marrakesh. Trip ends in Marrakesh with a couple of days to visit, number of different sites. Gemma El Fna is one of the largest city squares in the world, absolutely massive. In Marrakesh, we include a walking tour of the Medina, then followed by free time to see anything else in the city that you wish. With that free time, you've got your tour leader there. They're happy to make recommendations based on your interests. So, in addition to the sightseeing, obviously, as being an Intrepid employee, I thought it would be a good use of my time as well to go visit our local DMC office in Morocco. This is myself and my wife in our Intrepid office with our tour leader on the left. And then the woman between us is Hala. She is the general manager of Morocco for us, and she runs the entire Morocco operation there. So yeah, that is my trip in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking that. And I have to say, I love that carpet as well. The carpet looks really flattering with your red branding.
Oh
Let's,
yeah.
I was going to say, let's take a look at what I did in Morocco, which is like 10 years ago. So I don't think Morocco looks that much different, but I might look a little bit different. So my trip to Morocco was with Intrepid, of course. It was in the original style. So I get to do a lot of the same experiences that David just talked about. And then I went to go a little bit deeper in the south. So we'll take a look here. If you are new to me, if you need a reminder of who I am Dave Wentworth. I run my travel agency, destinationwhatever.com. Number one in all of the realm, now serving Westeros and beyond. Anyhow, I have 16 years of experience as a travel agent. And so, like, that basically means 32,000 hours of time at my desk helping people from coast to coast discover the world through authentic travel. I myself have been to 45 countries and I have sites on all seven continents. I'm going down to Antarctica next month and I'm so excited about that. And I love travel in small batches. That's my concept. That's what I'm about. And what I mean by travel in small batches, small group tours like what David's talking to you about, what I'm talking about tonight with Intrepid, but maybe also small ship cruising. Smaller experiences get you to places that larger experiences can't. And when I think about small group touring, there was a stop in Morocco where we went to a Berber pharmacy, and it was very interesting to learn about the herbology and some of the essential oils. And I bought a cake of musk there that I was able to rub on my skin and smell so good. But we just would not have been able to get into that pharmacy and have such a learning moment on a larger bus tour. Forget about it. So for me, I'm all about the small batch. Well, this is the trip that I did in Morocco in the original style. And even though I did it like a decade ago, this itinerary has not changed much because it doesn't need to. It touches on a lot of great sites in South Morocco. I was saying earlier today that Morocco is a destination I could see somebody going to for 3 weeks. If they said, Dave, I want to go to Morocco and experience it all, I would put them on the northern version of this itinerary, which is about a week and a half, and I would put them on the one I did, which is 11 days. So this is in the original level. So my hotels were in the three and a half star level. They were comfortable. They ticked all the boxes. They did what we needed. And we had some meals that were included. I like these tours as well because when I travel, I like the blend of organized stuff. I don't want to miss out on any of the big things. I want to go see the Sahara Desert, but I want to have some free time as well. And this tour gave us those things. As I was saying, it's an 11-day tour, and the maximum group size on this would be 16 people. The minimum age, it's 15. I think this would be a great trip to take a teenager, especially I was a French immersion student. I would have loved to have gone to Morocco when I was a teenager. And this tour is cool because it stays in a mix of accommodations. So we had one night in a campsite that was out in the desert, and we had one night in a gîte that was in the high Atlas Mountains. And that's a French word. And a gîte is like a traditional inn. It's family run, so it's not a hotel. It's a really great way to kind of pull back the curtain and experience the culture in a family setting. And so we did that up in the mountains where there just wasn't a lot of variety or a lot of accommodation on offer, but we went to the gîte. And then we had hotels for 6 nights. Those were just standard, regular pedestrian hotels. And then we had 2 nights in riads. And I think that's a must if you're going to Morocco to stay in a riad. And a riad is a traditional Moroccan accommodation that will have a courtyard. The courtyard normally has gardens, could have reflective pools, and the rooms open into the courtyard. So you would pass through an entrance and then into the courtyard and then go to your room from there. And they're just really beautifully decorated with all their traditional Moroccan touches and carpets and tapestries. And it's just, it's sensory overload in like the best possible way. This tour as well, great value. At the time of this presentation, this tour is from 1144 Canadian. So Intrepid does have dynamic pricing. It can move around a little bit throughout the season. But if you were looking for the best price departure today, it's 1144 Canadian. And that's not bad for an 11-day tour. That has you coming in at 104 a day. Here are some of the experiences that you can expect to have on this tour. So again, it starts and ends in Marrakesh, which is a great city. I was just talking about sensory, and this is a sensory experience. It's got like a total whirlwind of color, of sounds. It's the culture. There's the Jannah El Fna, the big market that we were just talking about. Marrakesh is a city to be seen by day and by night. And then we went up into the high Atlas Mountains. So Morocco surprised me when I picked the itinerary. I thought, here's a country that looks rather compact and it won't take us that long to get from place to place. But the roads do not go as the crow flies. They can be switchbacks and going up through the mountains. And so we did actually have some longer days driving through varied landscape. And going up into the mountains, this is where we got to spend a night at the family gîte. And then another site that was so popular, and David, you touched on it as well, was for to see Ait Benadou. Game of Thrones had just filmed when I went there, so of course it was on everybody's list. But the cool thing about Ait Benadou, I didn't know that when you experience it, you actually go in and see it, and you can walk around it and see the doorways and the steps and explore this living ancient city. It's just wonderful to step back into history like this. And going there, I had always seen it pictured from a distance. So I thought this was just a spot that you saw it from 100 meters away, 200 meters away, what have you. But no, you actually get to go all up in there. And that's what I love. We went close to sunset too, so it just had perfect golden hour. It was just great for photography or even just looking at it and just taking that moment just to soak it all in. And then the other highlights on this trip that I did, I went to the Sahara Desert. That was a must for me. I was definitely going to see the Sahara Desert in Morocco. And so we took four-wheel drives to get out there, and then we were on camels. There was a mix of transportation. Again, you could feel good about this camel experience for some of the things that David was talking about when it comes to looking out for animals and only supporting operations where animals are well looked after. So it just being able to go up on that camel and float out through the dunes for me, it was like a total Lawrence of Arabia moment. I just loved it. I felt like a total explorer. And we were headed to the camp that you see in the middle picture. And so we camped in the desert, and this was great. We got there just as the sun was setting. So the temperature was good. It's a basic campsite. There was not a lot on offer. Obviously, don't ask for the Wi-Fi password here, people, but you're not going to need it because the stars were just like totally. lit that night. It was just so much fun to watch the stars that we actually took our beds and hauled them out. That's why you see the bed on the outside of this tent, because we all brought our beds outside and fell asleep looking out at the stars and then just spending the night under the stars in the Sahara Desert. Now, that's something to brag about when you get home and let all your friends know about on social media. Just think of the likes you're going to get. And what I loved about our tour was that it ended in Essaouira. When I say ended, it does bring you back to Marrakesh, but the last main stop is in Essaouira. That's where we had a couple of nights at a riad. And that was just really cool to wind down, and that's where we had a lot of free time. We did have some group time. We did a meal together to enjoy the seafood that can be found on this coastal city. But this is also a place that has a lot of vibe. I mean, it goes back to like Jimi Hendrix and those characters. But today you can just enjoy walking around. There's historical vibe. There's fishermen doing their thing. There's places to go shopping if you need to get any last minute shopping done or any flavors of Morocco, things like that. Along the way, though, to Essaouira, the final thing I want to just mention about my tour was one of the most curious things I've through seen, and I still think about it to this day. I would love to go back. It's the goats that jump up into the trees, and I believe they're up there chasing the argan nut. And just to see goats jumping up into the trees, it was just the wildest thing. And we had pulled off on the side of the road to see them. But what was also cool was that we were headed to one of a project that Intrepid works with on the ground, and it's a women's argan oil cooperative. So these women are able to take the argan oil and make all sorts of things. Of course, we were able to buy some of the lotions and potions and bring those home. And argan oil is just so good for your skin if you've ever used it. So, this trip for me to Morocco was a total triumph. It was a great view into southern Morocco, and it was a great way to travel affordably and in a way that I felt really good about. So, speaking about some of that work that you folks do on the ground, David, did you want to tell us a little bit about the Intrepid Foundation?
Yes, I do. But actually, before I
Oh,
get to the Intrepid Foundation, I want to tell you a little bit more about the goats in the trees
oh, I'm listening.
because I mean, hey, you went 10 years ago, and the one of I think the things that we don't even realize when we travel is when you've only been to a country once and it's been several, years, sometimes you fall into a habit of thinking that things stay static and the same. They don't change much since you've been there. Now, what you said about the goats going like hopping up into those trees to go for nuts, that is a thing, definitely, that they have done for a long time and that farmers have been doing. But what's happened now, in the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years or so, because all of a sudden people started talking about it, putting that on social media, making it a known thing, there's actually a lot of people now who decide that their best use of time and resources is actually to get a bunch of goats and keep them in trees for hours and hours at a time and charge tourists money to take photos of them. And we don't support that anymore. So we don't do any of these goat photo stops because the original meaning of it has been lost, unfortunately, for, in many places. And now these places that are, hey, showing off goats in trees for you to take pictures of, they're just I understand obviously, hey, locals they want to make a living. They think, hey, this is an easy way to get some money off some tourists, but it's actually that the goats are not well looked after,
There's a
and
detriment.
it's very exploitive now. So it's something that we don't support anymore. So yeah, just wanted to touch
Set the
on
record
that.
straight on those goats. But I think one thing we can all agree about is that
Yeah.
the projects like women making products from the argan oil
Oh,
and the
definitely.
sustainability from that. So we can focus on some of the good products like that. I'm just thinking about with the winter coming up, how I really could use some of that argan oil right now for my dry skin. Maybe I need to book another last minute trip to Morocco.
Hey, why not? Uh, Well, speaking of doing good, so this is another major part of Intrepid and what we're all about. So the Intrepid Foundation, this is our not-for-profit arm that we established in 2002. The Intrepid Foundation, all of the operating costs are borne by Intrepid, so any money raised by the foundation, 100% of it goes directly back to the communities that we support. The uh, the main I guess overarching focus of the Intrepid Foundation, uh, creating positive impact, and addressing at least one of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in the various places that we operate. So talking now, generally speaking, how that works. Our team, so I showed you before our Morocco office. Our Morocco office, they connect with local communities, local nonprofits that, fit our model of what we're looking for. And uh, we connect with those partners and we raise money on their behalf and we literally just we hand it over to them to distribute and disperse as we see fit. So we're not the ones that are um, creating projects ourselves or, um, directing how they need to use this money that we're giving them. We are saying, hey, look, we've identified you as a not-for-profit that is doing great work already. You don't need us telling you how to do your job. We're just here to partner with you and provide a great funding source for you. And so now, as travelers, every trip that you travel and book with Intrepid, a portion of the proceeds from every single trip automatically goes to the Intrepid Foundation to support the local not-for-profit in the destination that you are traveling to. So, don't need to do anything extra for that just by traveling with us. A portion of your money is also going towards local communities that really need it. And in Morocco, there's a couple of different ones, but the biggest one is the High Atlas Foundation. So this gives education and opportunities to children, especially girls, in the Atlas Mountains, who come from a variety of nomadic communities or, very small towns where things like literacy is low, economic opportunity is low, tr- you know, culturally very, they're much more traditional. So there aren't very many opportunities, especially for girls, to get an education and actually establish a career, an opportunity, a future for themselves. So the High Atlas Foundation works in the Atlas Mountains, in these various, local communities and provides and pays for education for, students who need it, both genders, but with a focus on girls who need, have need that need that educational opportunity. And the High Atlas Foundation was also, worth mentioning here because, if you remember, a couple of years ago, there was that massive earthquake in the Atlas Mountains, just south of Marrakesh. And um, we Morocco being one of our biggest destinations that we have, deep connections with, we raised over $2 million in the span of a week with a special appeal just to all of our travelers, and provided it to, all of our Intrepid Foundation partners, but especially the High Atlas Mountain, because that was the area that was most significantly devastated by the earthquake. So that's, one of the big reasons I'm really proud to work at Intrepid and to travel with Intrepid is because of the ways that we give back to the local communities, that we support the local communities, and we make it a better place for us having been there. So yeah, as I say, now more than ever, the world needs intrepid people, and I know many of you, I'm sure, are intrepid people.
And I love helping people out with Intrepid. So, like, as we bring things into a close for this presentation, you might be watching this in the afterplay, you might be watching this years down the line, but if you're watching this current to the time it's being put out, we're getting ready to get into a big booking phase. Black Friday, Cyber Friday, all of these sales are going to be coming up. And it's a time of year as well. I don't know about where you live, but here it's starting to get colder. You're going to be scraping some frost off the windshield in the morning. And when the weather gets like that, it's nice to have plans to go away. And I think today we've identified that Morocco is a destination of interest for Canadians, especially with things coming up over the next couple months. I really want to thank you as well for talking about the different styles, of course, that we have different ways that you can do Morocco. All of these things are open to people of all different ages. It's about getting the right match with the right trip for you. That's where I come in. But I think as well, we should just quickly mention the themes in Morocco. You
Okay.
have everything in Morocco. You have athletic trips, food trips, family trips. I think there's a women's expedition in Morocco. Am I missing anything else? Like,
I mean, hey, that's it's a great start. I think the biggest one to let people know about is the family trips.
yes.
And for me, I I think one of the things that surprises people the most with us is just how many family trips we have to all destinations. But the family trips are great because unlike a regular tour where, it's typically designed for adults, and yeah, you might get, kids or teenagers on them, but it's not really meant for them. In the same way, our family trips are actually created specifically for parents traveling with children, and you can only book on a family trip if you have kids. And they are there for kids as young as 5. And it's a great option for not just Morocco, but any destination really where we offer those family trips because, you think of the reason that people book family holidays to, Florida or the Caribbean or cruises and all inclusives. They do it because it's easy and everything is figured out for them. They don't have to worry or plan or figure things out on the ground. Well, it's the same idea with the family trips. You've got, you know, a lot more inclusions. You've got our tour leaders who are specifically trained for traveling with kids and leading tours for kids. And the kids are going to make friends with other kids from all over the world. So it's a great, enriching experience. We have a couple different family trip options in Morocco. I really strongly recommend them for people with, like I said, kids as young as 5. Um, Aside from
And
that, we've got a handful of active trips as well, walking, cycling trips. We've got our women's expedition, as you mentioned. We've got Moroccan food trip as well. That's another really big theme for us. So yeah, I mean that's all the themes that we've got there. But yeah, we've got different those kind of themes are replicated in different destinations around the world as well too. So depending on your interests and your tastes, you can experience the same kind of destination in a variety of different ways.
I love that. Hundreds of scripts, so many options. And again, that's what I'm here to do, folks. I'm here to share my experience of having been on umpteen different Intrepids. And of course, I'm dreaming about my next Intrepid. Where will it be? Stay tuned. But in the meantime, think about yourself. Put your mask on before helping other passengers. I want you to book your Intrepid, and you can, of course, get in touch with me on my website for that. But as we finish, one final thought and question, I always like to think about what surprised me about a destination. And for me, going to Morocco, I thought it was going to have a very French, European adjacent feel, more of that Mediterranean vibe. And maybe because I went so far south, it really was an African destination. It was no, and I really was like, okay, this is North Africa. And I love that. So it was wild. It pushed my boundaries. It just took me to the edge of the Sahara Desert. What surprised you about Morocco? What would you like to leave our audience with tonight?
Well, hey, the things that you mentioned as well, that you went to southern part of Morocco and you got that really like um, you know dry, deserty African feel to it. That's what I was expecting for the whole country. And then because I saw, the north and part of the southern part as well, uh, getting a lot more of that. Mediterranean influence in the north, and seeing, all this farmland, all of this culture in some cities that was a very interesting blend of, European, particularly French influence mixed with Arabic influence, mixed with, obviously the local indigenous Amazigh culture as well. I was not expecting that. I didn't. In my mind, I thought of it the same way I thought of Egypt as being just a dry country with a few, pockets of, fertile spots, but mostly just a dry, deserty country with, cultural history and sites. But yeah, I was blown away by the landscape and the scenery, and like there were full out like massive forests that we spent some time in at certain points, and you never think of that kind of stuff in Morocco. So yeah,
So the landscapes, the diversity, the range that you saw, and again, the great people, the hospitality of Moroccans is just top notch. And so again, it's a great trip for everybody, families ages 5 to like 85. I want to help
Mhm.
you out. I want to help you get to Morocco. And so hopefully today our presentation has helped to give you some ideas, help you get thinking about Intrepid travel for Morocco or for other places. I've used Intrepid for some of my most special destinations like Madagascar and Iran because I can go pretty much anywhere with Intrepid and it's always a triumph. And like I said, my trip to Morocco was like that too. So, David, thank you for being here today to share some of facts about your company and your own personal storytelling about Morocco. Hopefully, we can have you over on the channel again another time. And for our people who have been here today, listening all the way, thank you so much for your support. You can always find me on social media and on my website at destinationwhatever.com. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. And until next time, fair winds and safe travels. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. This has been a Destination Whatever travel production. Subscribe for all my content. Facebook at Destination Whatever, Instagram at destinationwhatever.travel, and YouTube at Destination Whatever. Or head on over to my website, destinationwhatever.com. I'm your #1 travel expert, helping travelers nationwide explore the world. So get in touch and let's make your travel fantasies come true.